Back, everybody. WAJR's Ask the Experts. Our final segment now. This is Tony Caridi along with Mike Curley from HealthWorks Rehab and Fitness, and we're talking about improving our health span as we get older. We've hit on diet, sleep, and exercise as three major areas. Now our last two, stress relief and environmental exposure. Mike, if you would, define for us what you mean by stress relief and how can we do it better?
So stress relief is how do you deal with stress and how do you get rid of it? So we're all going to feel stressed throughout the day. We went through a couple of things earlier, talked about work, talked about family, getting caught in traffic, dealing with that person that cuts you off, right? It might cause you some stress if you're not easygoing. So, and stress is very detrimental to the human body. It raises cortisol levels, and if it remains chronic, it can do damage to us. It's associated with increased blood pressure, decreased bone density, increased blood glucose, so it makes us insulin resistant. Okay, none of these things good for the human body or the immune system. Again, a small amount of stress is good because it gives the body an opportunity to adapt and grow, get stronger, get faster, whatever the case may be. But chronic stress, very detrimental.
Debilitating. Okay, so how do we improve our ability to deal with stress?
So I'd say it's an individual thing. Some people like to get a weekly massage. Some people enjoy aromatherapy, trigger point therapy. Exercise might be your stress reliever, right? Hitting the speed bag, hitting the heavy bag, going for a jog, walking on the rail trail, getting out and watching the birds.
Something that simple can do it.
It can be that simple for some people, sure. Deep breathing, yoga, Pilates. Make you forget about your troubles for a little while and bring down cortisol levels.
That one is a hard metric to follow, isn't it? Cortisol. I mean, you're not going to be able to take a cortisol test. How do you know if you're doing a better job at dealing with your stress?
You're probably going to feel more relaxed. You're not going to feel as tense. Your blood pressure will probably be down, and everybody can have a BP cuff at home.
Sure.
You can get from the drugstore. You'll probably sleep better. You probably won't get an upset stomach when you eat. So there are things that come along with being stressed that people probably know about or have felt and won't feel those things if they're relieving their stress properly, or will feel them to a lesser extent anyway.
Sure. So you think it is kind of a navigation that individually we have to go along and find what we feel helps us in our stress, right? So obviously you're not going to get a massage every day, but potentially you could walk or exercise 5 or 6 days. So you're just saying, find your deal.
Find your deal. And here's the thing. If you're forcing yourself to go for a walk to relieve your stress, you're not going to relieve your stress. Get outside for the sheer fact of enjoying being outside and walking in the sun and looking at the squirrels and the birds and walking your dog or whatever the case may be. But if you're doing it for exercise or to relieve your stress, that's probably not your stress reliever.
Right. It's got to be something that you love to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Environmental exposure. I'm interested in this one. What do you mean?
So this is exposure to the sun. Okay, when you expose yourself to the sun, your body will start creating vitamin D. And vitamin D is crucial for immunity. Okay, so 15 to 20 minutes a day if you can. Exposure to the sun, to as much skin as you can legally expose outside, right? No sunscreen because that's going to block the sunlight. That's going to synthesize the vitamin D. So don't get burned. You have to watch yourself. Don't get burned. If the sun is not possible, like in January in West Virginia, vitamin D supplementation.
It does work?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I'll bring this up. COVID-19, 90+% of the people who have been very, very sick or have succumbed to this disease were severely vitamin D deficient. That's how important it is to the immune system.
Yeah, great point. Great point.
So some other things, exposure to cold, exposure to heat. If you've heard anything in the news, you've heard about these athletes taking ice baths or even normal people taking ice baths and more people getting into saunas because it improves fat burning, so it increases metabolism. They fight inflammation in the body. It regulates blood sugar, that blood glucose again, right? Getting away from that diabetes and pre-diabetes, that insulin resistance. It aids in the immune system, all right? It aids in autophagy, and I can discuss that a little bit if you want to. And it aids in muscle function, recovery, and rebuilding.
So hot or cold?
Hot or cold. So don't be afraid to be cold. We live in 72 degrees all year round, right? Practically. The only time you're cold is when you run to your car in January, and the only time you're hot is when you run to your car in August.
So it benefits the body.
It benefits
is what you're saying
body.
if you put it into an extreme, one extreme or the other.
Mm-hmm. And doesn't need to be for very long. I'm talking about 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I do my cold exposure in the shower. Get all washed up, and I rinse off in cold. It's hard to get clean in cold water.
Yes, it is. Yeah, so this is a post shower, and just hit yourself with cold water.
Hit myself with cold water and stay as long as my morning time allows me to.
How about that?
Because I'm not going to run out of cold water.
No,
run out of hot water, but
yes.
not run out of cold water.
Yeah, and inside that is helping our entire immune system.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. Our topic has been 5 pillars of a quality health span, and what we're trying to do is give you tips and help you along, and all of us along, with what are the best ways to live a higher quality of life throughout our entire life, right? In the best case scenario, we're still vibrant to our last day. Simple as that, rather than just having this horrifically yucky end of life where for a decade or longer we're dragging something or feeling this or feeling that. It's miserable. And so what can you do? These are just 5 things: diet, sleep, exercise, stress relief, and environmental exposure. And a lot of these things, if you need help with them, can be taken care of at HealthWorks. You guys are doing this every day. It's HealthWorks Rehab and Fitness, and you can serve a lot of these aspects of it.
Yeah, we do. We have, obviously, we have our fitness program. We have our physical therapy program. We have our nutrition program. We address a lot of these things, yes.
Yeah. So if you've heard something here today that you'd like to follow up on, by all means do. The number at HealthWorks is 304-599-2515, 304-599-2515. Hope that has kind of enlightened you and maybe taken you down a new path so that you can improve your overall quality health span. Mike, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. You've been listening to Mike Curley, who is the clinical director at HealthWorks Maple Drive location, and we appreciate you for stopping in. Special thanks to the folks at HealthWorks for their sponsorship of this edition of Ask the Experts. That'll do it for us. Stay tuned. More coming up here on WAJR.